Can you hear me, Mr. Perez?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Loud and clear, sir.
Oh, you can do that. Where is it?
Dr. Mark, can you hear me okay?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Where is it? Do you want to sign in or? Dr. Martin,
Yes, sir.
you have all the names of the presenters tonight?
Yes, sir, I do. I have 3 names on here.
Who are they?
Chantel Garcia, Crystal Clausen, and Jesse Mandaran.
Okay,
I don't have those names. Chantel?
but they're during the presentation.
Oh, okay.
So,
That's right.
yeah,
Yeah, they're gonna, yeah. Got it.
they won't need that.
Good afternoon, folks.
Good afternoon, Mr. Sandoval.
How are you doing, Mr. Martin?
Pretty good, and you, sir?
I can't complain.
Oh, Dion,
Hello, Max. How are you?
we're doing okay.
Ron, you doing okay?
Doing okay, Dion. How are you?
I can't complain.
That's good. I heard that a while ago.
hmm
Nobody will listen anyway, so.
No, that's true. Nobody listens. Take it as it comes.
That's it.
Dr. Martin, quick question. How's Power School coming out?
He's on. We got a quorum now.
Richard, okay, we got about a minute.
You need 3. So we have 3. Not yet.
There
There
she
she
is.
is.
I've not heard anything yet, Mr. Sandoval. I'll let you know before the end of the meeting.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, it's
You're
still
welcome.
showing the same syncing problems.
Okay, I'll contact Steve and update you on that, sir.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Max, is that Raina in there with you?
Yes.
I could tell. All I can do is see her hand, but you know your dad's watching, so you might want to scoot over a little bit so he could see you. Yes, much better.
Okay, let's get started. Ready?
Let's see. All set.
Set. Go ahead and call the meeting to order at 5:30. Let's stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good evening, everyone. We'll start off tonight. Roll call.
Dr. Guy Archambault. Emily Hunt Daly.
Here,
Richard Jones.
here,
I'm here.
John Sandoval.
Here,
Ron Ortiz.
Here. Adoption of agenda. Superintendent Perez, your recommendation tonight.
Yes, sir, Mr. President, Board. Good evening, everyone. I do recommend that the board adopt the agenda as presented.
Okay, with that, I need a motion.
Dion Sandoval, so move.
Need a
I'll
second.
se-
Emily
Uh,
Hunt Daly, second.
Okay, roll call.
Dr. Guy Archambault. Emily Hunt Daly.
Yes,
Richard Jones.
yes,
Dion Sandoval.
Yes,
Ron Ortiz.
Yes. Motion passes. Adoption of minutes of October 5th, 2021. Your recommendation, Mr. Perez.
Yes, sir, Mr. President, Board. I recommend that we adopt the minutes of October 5th as presented.
Okay, I need a motion.
So moved.
Emily Hunt Daly, second.
Okay, roll call.
Guy Archambault. Emily Hunt Daly.
Yes,
Richard Jones.
yes,
Dion Sandoval.
yes,
Ron Ortiz.
Yes. Motion passes. Recognitions tonight. Superintendent Perez.
Yes, sir, Mr. President, Board. We don't have any formal recognition, but I do want to take a moment to recognize all of the early warning system staff that's out there, the STAR team that's out, all of the people, the staff that are doing outreach efforts to connect with students who are having some issues getting connected with the school for whatever reason. So a big thanks to all of the team who's connecting with students. So with that, that's what I have, Mr. President.
Okay, thank you, Superintendent Perez. No citizens to address the board tonight. We'll move on to presentations. Superintendent Perez.
Yes, sir. Okay, so Mr. President, Board, This evening, we have for a presentation, our first presentation is state mask mandates in effect with the Grand Cebolla County Schools. And we have some community members that have asked to be presenting this evening. So with that, I would turn it over to them.
Mr. Perez,
Yes.
the only one I see out of the three names that were listed is Miss Crystal Clausen. Oh, Courtney Clausen, is that? Nope. All right. I don't see any of the three names that are listed on the.
Okay. Are any of the if any of the presenters are on, can you give us a signal?
Crystal is on. I can see her.
Is Courtney on the presentation too?
I'm here.
There's two of us.
It's Crystal, Chantel Garcia, and Jessie Mandarangan.
Jesse's here, Crystal's here, Courtney's here.
Yep.
Just all on one screen,
We're-
making it easier for you
Yeah.
guys.
Okay.
We'll be on one screen.
Okay.
Oh, are we?
Hey,
do we-
it's all yours.
Oh, okay. The action taken to combat COVID-19 has done more harm than good when it comes to our children. Here in New Mexico, our education system is dead last, ranked 50 out of 50. The COVID-19 policies being pushed are causing more damage to our schools and children. So I am here to speak for the teachers and the children whose voices aren't being heard, and for parents whose concerns aren't being addressed. I think we all know that vaccinated people can spread the virus just the same as unvaccinated people. So my question to you, Superintendent, is do you feel that testing unvaccinated teachers only for COVID is a fair and effective COVID policy due to the fact that the vaccinated can also spread COVID?
That question is directed to me, Mr. President, if I could.
Yes.
So these are not I have to make it clear, these are not policies or rules that I have put into place. As I've stated, I follow the rules. These are policies of the board, school board, and they are edicts from the state. And it is my duty to follow those rules and not to break those rules.
Well, okay. So I'm skipping ahead here. You just lost a awesome teacher because she refused to test for COVID. Okay, did you have a say in that? Could you have fought that or maybe done something a little different so that we could keep a good teacher in the classroom rather than replace her with a substitute who caught COVID or many other substitutes that we are unsure of their status? Could you have done something different so that we could keep good teachers in the classroom?
No, ma'am, I could not have.
Can I ask you what the point of you is? What is your point of being here? If you can't help teachers out or students with policies that make no sense. You're here to enforce policies that make no sense.
If you're arguing about the policies, I recommend that you take that up with the board.
Okay, so anyone on the board, can you help me out with the policy of testing unvaccinated teachers only? Since he's telling me you guys are the ones that are pushing this. Anybody? Mr. Ortiz, do you have a say in this?
Which he appointed him last meeting.
The only thing that I would say is that we as a board follow the mandates of the state, and they're the ones that put all these mandates in place. And we as a board approve the policies after that. And then it goes that way. So, my stand is that I follow the policies that the state mandates. So if you want to fight the way it's done, you need to battle your fight with the governor and the representatives that we have.
So this, basically all your answers are just gonna be directed towards me speaking to the governor. You guys are not doing any, and from what I understand, she gave you a blanket of guidelines and suggestions. You do not have to enforce these ones this way. You guys can choose how you want to enforce these policies. And if you're gonna enforce a testing policy, then enforce it for all your teachers so that the kids are safe. Because otherwise, it makes no sense to test only unvaccinated teachers when the vaccinated are spreading it the exact same way. And I have another question. Can you provide me with any data of vaccinated versus unvaccinated COVID cases in the district? I would like to see that data. I would like a copy of the vaccinated and unvaccinated cases in the district. Do you have that?
Once again, Ms. Clausen, the argument that you're bringing forth is not an argument that should be directed here. We are following those policies and procedures. We do not make the decision of testing the unvaccinated staff. That is an edict brought forth by the state in which we are obligated to follow.
Okay, I'm gonna jump into the fact that we have no subs pretty much, and we have good teachers being pulled out of the classrooms who are testing negative for COVID, but they are subject to someone who has COVID. So we're pulling out our good teachers to replace them with subs if we have any. And what you've got nothing for me on this, like nothing. You guys cannot explain the policy to me at all. My mind is blown by the point of having you guys here.
Once again, those arguments should not be made here. Those are policies and edicts and rules that are brought forth by the state.
You don't get to decide on the policies as a school board?
Okay,
The board has adopted the safety protocols for the district, and we follow those as well.
Even though they,
I'm sorry,
somebody-
Mr. Jones, do you want to have a word?
I'm just going to jump in for a little clarification right here, where I think there was a mix-up. We, as a board, did not make any of these policies. First and foremost, as a matter of fact, we didn't even adopt or we didn't even create a policy that we put forth to a vote. And I understand your frustration, 100%, and actually with you. But as far as this board itself, and maybe we need to go forward, and if we want to set our own policies in there, I'd be happy to champion that. But what Mr. Pettis said in the beginning is that it's not him or the board. It's really not, but the policies in place are by the PED, not by the Grant Cibola County School Board. That needs to be clarified right there.
Thank you, Mr. Jones, for clarifying that.
So, okay, so for the McKinley County lawsuit to sue against the governor for overstepping the boundaries, can you guys, as a school board, get on that? And would that lawsuit help you have more of a say in the policies that are enforced? Can you do a vote on that to get on the lawsuit?
Yes.
So, yeah, we have been informed just briefly about that lawsuit. I don't know if that lawsuit would make any of the outcomes any different. Of course, it's a lawsuit that's involving several districts. And I believe the lawsuit's about the state overreaching authority into the school districts. The board, this board has not decided to get on that bandwagon, so to speak.
I ask why?
Present it so they can vote on it.
Can you vote on it? Can you vote to get on it?
Can you, as a citizen, can you move to?
The board, yes, the board can discuss that, and if they choose to, they can vote to get on that lawsuit as well. So,
Can I ask for the reasons why you would not choose to get on it?
that has not been discussed as a board yet.
Okay, and back to the data of your COVID cases from vaccinated and unvaccinated. Can I please have a copy of that data? Can you get that to me?
That data is presented by the State Department of Health and the CDC.
Okay, and then.
I'd be glad to lead you into the places where I believe that they're getting their data to make their decisions.
Okay, and then the last meeting we had over the masks that was in person, Do you guys have anything for us for our concerns on that? Do you have any action plan, or can you address the situation with our concerns for the masks? Or has anyone done any research, extra research, or found any scientific evidence on these masks actually being effective for our kids rather than harming them? Not your problem? Go back
No.
to the PED for this one?
No, I think we're not medical experts here, but we would be glad to have Department of Health or an official from those departments where they are experts provide that information for you. But as far as that kind of research, it seems like it'd be better coming directly from the source.
And there's no way that you guys can put to a vote for consent forms so that us as parents can decide what our kids get to wear at school? I do have, okay, yeah, you're good. You're good on that. Okay, well, the other thing here is, I know that there's a lot of parents who have brought some concerns to the superintendent, and they haven't been addressed. You are refusing to meet with parents. And so if that continues, I feel like we'll have to report that to the PED so that we can get some kind of clarity, or at least feel like you care about what the parents' concerns are, because I do have quite a few people in my ear that have told me they've come to you for several concerns and we get nothing back. And I know that from experience. I've emailed you, I've got nothing back. I emailed Ron, I got nothing back.
Well, I'm not going to debate that with you, ma'am, but I beg to differ that I do respond to all of my requests.
Okay. Well, maybe some more parents will join me next round and they can speak their piece on this. Do you, any of you jumping in here?
Again, personal.
Okay.
Can we have Courtney Clausen next speak?
We're moving
Sure.
on.
I didn't realize I was on the agenda tonight, so I don't really have anything prepared, but I will say this. History is riddled with examples of people who were just doing what they're told instead of doing what's right. When we've got children that are not being properly educated because of the policies put in place, you guys should be the first ones stepping up and saying your policy is driving children or teachers out of the classrooms. We shouldn't have so many substitute teachers teaching our children. Has anybody on the board or yourself, Mr. Perez, address this with the Public Education Department, that their policy is going to drive teachers out of our classrooms?
Yes, sir. So, yeah, so first, just for clarification, as far as staffing, we have probably more qualified staff in our classrooms than any of our neighboring districts. And it is not our decision to pull teachers out. Once again, that goes back to the policies that are brought forth by the state.
Yes, I understand the policy, and you guys can't change the policy. I mean, I think if you push hard enough, you could, but has anybody addressed it? When we have an entire day, 7 classes for all 7 periods at the middle school, sitting in the bleachers, and 1 substitute teacher checking on them throughout the day, they weren't learning anything, but they were all there because there were no teachers and there were no substitute teachers. So it sounds like we might be a little understaffed.
That's first I've heard of that. I think that might be an isolated case because that's not the reports that I'm getting. We do have a report coming up later in the agenda that will maybe clarify some of that.
Okay, and then, I mean, as far as standing up to them, why can't we stand up to them? Why can't we stand up to them and say, we don't want to do this, Public Education Department? Why can't you as a superintendent say, I don't want to pursue that policy? And why can't the school board take a vote and say, we will not pursue that policy?
Well, I can speak for myself as superintendent. I choose not to put my license under jeopardy. And my job is to keep the students and staff safe. by any means possible. And that's what I choose to do.
You know, I can tell you with 100% honesty and without any doubt, if I was put into a place where they said, you have to run this way, and it was going to get people fired and cause more harm than good, I would step down. And I would think that if you're a man with any integrity, you would consider stepping down. What about the teacher that was just fired because she refused to take her test? Because the policy that's put in place, okay, you're vaccinated, you don't have to take a test. You can still get COVID, but if you're unvaccinated, you have to take a test. All that is bullying people into getting vaccinated.
Mhm.
It's just saying you're going to have to do all this extra stuff. You're going to have to jump through hoops to keep your job.
Violating rights.
Yeah, it's violating their rights, it's coercion, and it's harassment. So why?
Once again, Mr. Clausen, those are decisions that were not made by the board or by me.
I'm bringing that up tonight in hopes that the board or yourself will take steps to address it.
Stand up for your teachers.
I know nothing's going to happen tonight, but you're the lead man on this. You're the head honcho in charge of all these people, and you're not taking it very serious. As long as your license is safe and you're getting your
125.
I take-
100 whatever thousand a year.
I take it
Mr.
very,
Clausen?
I take it very seriously.
Okay.
And my job, once again, is to keep the students and the staff safe by any means possible.
You're not. You're not keeping them safe.
Well, I will just end by saying that I would resign. If I was in your position and I had to push these types of policies, I would step down. I wouldn't do it. I've got a little too much integrity for that. And thank you guys for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Clausen. Now,
Mr.
Jesse,
President?
yes,
Hold on, Mr. President, this is Mrs. Daly. I think we need to remind ourselves, we need to be respectful and not bring personal issues into this conversation. We hold our standards very high, and I would request that the audience also hold those standards and be respectful and not to make disrespected comments to any of our board members or to our superintendent. So please, just be respectful
We're here for the kids
and mindful. Ma'am, I'm talking. And be mindful of your remarks and your attacks on the board or the superintendent. Please, just be respectful. That's all we're asking. Thank you.
I feel like it was directed at me. I wasn't being
Okay, thank you, Ms. Hunt.
spoke my mind.
Jesse, go ahead.
Yes, hi. This is a little redundant from the last time I presented myself, but since I'm able to get questions and maybe have some kind of agreement, I'm presenting this as maybe something you guys, the board, can make decisions of moving forward. Like I've mentioned before, this is something that is going to snowball at some point in the future. We all know that the vaccination mandates on the schools is looming on us as we speak. So if maybe we can put our heads together and get ahead of this and maybe do damage control, I present a solution of something having like consent forms. Not only is that something that should have happened in the past with these masks, because these masks prove to be just as much harmful more than it is helpful. It's also written on these boxes, these medical boxes, that they cannot prevent these diseases from spreading or catching. And recent studies, as opposed to what was written in the newspaper, that was old studies from the Mayo Clinic. All the studies we presented ourselves on the board a few weeks ago was all recent studies done in the last 4 to 6 months. So with that, I ask you guys to vote on maybe bringing power back to the parents and having consent forms, because in the Constitution and by law, parents should have a say and their decisions based on their children's health for themselves, not some mandate. That is a mandate and a guideline presented by someone who has no idea what's going on per district. We do. The parents do. And something as big as something as wearing a mask for children, that should be something a parent should decide, especially if it has. Let me bring this up because this was on Fox News not too long ago, maybe about 3 weeks ago. Fox News said on the children's masks, there was shown and scientifically proven 11 dangerous pathogens on these masks. Okay, pneumonia, tuberculosis, meningitis, keratitis, food poisoning, and the list goes on. I don't have the whole list, but there's 11 different ones. So in my closing presentation, I'm wondering if you guys as a board can bring the power back to these parents and vote on maybe consent forms. I see that being cordial, lawful, and still following procedures. I don't see how you guys can be in trouble for something that is lawfully correct. That's basically my end of my presentation.
Well, let me ask you all, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yes.
I was just gonna ask a question. Have any of you attempted to reach any of your state representatives in our area?
Yes.
To visit and talk with our state head, the governor? You know, the battle is in, the court is in their, the ball is in their court, not ours.
I'm glad you bring that up. If I may just jump in real quick, which was
Sure.
what I see as an opportunity to get our district on the legal matters that Gallup is doing. It wouldn't cost us anything. It would just help bring more numbers for that legal action that is happening. It wouldn't cost us a thing. And I'm hoping you guys can take a vote on that. And everyone with a lot of people here listening, I'm sure everyone would like that, especially because it costs us absolutely nothing.
Good
There
afternoon,
was-
folks.
There
Hey, this
was
is-
a, I'm sorry, Dion, let me
I'm
finish.
sorry, Ron.
No problem. I was just gonna say that there was a school in district in New Mexico that had a vote to do away with mask mandates, and they did it.
Mhm.
And they did away with it, and they went ahead and did away with the masks at the schools. Later, the PED came, the state came and removed the board. So, you know, if anybody would do something like that here, it's gonna happen the same thing. You know, if we change whatever they put in place, they're just gonna get rid of the board. And even if somebody else comes in and takes our place as a board member, and you guys change it, and you think that the state's gonna let you guys do it, they're not. They're gonna get rid of that board also, you know? So, you know, it's not like we're not listening to you guys. We understand your where you're at and what's going on, you know, but you know, you got to understand that we are trying to follow the mandates and the rules that the state puts in place for our district, you know, and it's nothing against you. You know, we have a group here that believes in wearing the masks. We've got a group that doesn't. And what we're doing is we've lost respect for each other, I believe. And, you know, we're just battling and fighting against ourselves instead of trying to do what the right thing is, you know. And, you know, I don't know what the right thing is. The world's broken. It's a mess. But, you know, I don't have the answers. I don't know if any of our board members have the answers to some of the things that you guys are wanting or asking for. But I really honestly believe that your battle is with the state of New Mexico, not with the board of grants, you know, or our district. All we're trying to do is do what's right and safe for our kids. You know, my whole goal is educating our kids and making sure that they get a proper education. And I want all of them to be safe. I want their teachers to be safe. And, you know, that's my take on this whole thing, you know.
Hey, Ron, this is Dion.
Yes, Mr. Senator.
I respect, you know, all your views, all your concerns. I would say take it up to the next level. Now in October the 21st, the PED is going to have a board meeting, and they have the open forum where you could register to to give your views online. So, you know, we are listening to you guys and we understand your frustrations, but let's go to the next level. You know, let's hit the ped with it. They're the ones that are implementing, you know, all these things for the district. So, like I said, October 21st and 22nd in Santa Fe, but you can get on via Zoom and sign up to speak.
Okay.
You know, have them listen, have them, you know, maybe they'll listen to us, listen to everybody.
That would be great. But, you know, we need power players such as yourselves to help lead this, you know.
And, you know, and we'd definitely be happy to get into more dialogue. You know, I know all of us feel different about the whole mask mandates.
Okay.
You know, I'm frustrated. I deal with it every day on a daily basis at work.
Right.
You know, my personal opinion, you probably don't want to hear, but you know, that's a stepping stone. You know, that's a step in the right direction.
Yeah.
You know, I know you guys are frustrated talking to us over and over, you know, thinking that deaf ears, you know, we are listening, but let's take it to that level. You know, at the state, let's get a hold of Harry. Let's get a hold of some of the other representatives and like you said, some power players,
Right.
you know, and hit the ped. Like I said, they're having a 2-day meeting and any one of us is welcome to join in and sign up. We just got to sign up ahead of time.
Okay. Roger that. Thank you, Dion.
And all you have to do is just get on the PED website, pedstate.nm.us, and it'll show you the date of the meeting and how to get on the agenda.
Okay. I heard that. Thank you. And last but not least, if there's something you guys can do internally to maybe turn your heads the other way while kids are sitting at their desk in school, like I mentioned before, it seems silly that we as a family with our kids can go out to restaurants and other places, but once we sit down, we can remove the masks. So why can't we implement the same thing at the schools? That way, I think it would be a positive shift. Kids are not distracted with their masks. Kids can breathe the air more freshly, getting more oxygen to the brain, and they're more alert and feel a little more normal. We do that at restaurants. Why can't we somehow do that in our school without, I don't know, making it so like leave the signs up at the school, but allow the teachers to say, hey, if they're at their desk, you may remove your masks. Same rule, problems at the restaurant. If you're going to the restroom, put your mask on. If the desks are separated far enough, I wouldn't see why that couldn't work. It would only help diffuse matters between this unlikely war we have going on between teachers and vaccinated teachers and unvaccinated teachers and pro masks and unpro masks. Like if our biggest concern is for these kids, then let's help be on their side a little bit. And if they're learning, help them learn better. If they're more comfortable, right? If you're more comfortable sitting at a desk without a mask, why not?
Thank you, Jesse.
Sure.
Okay.
I'm hoping these are things you guys can take a vote on, and we're looking forward to hearing how that resolved.
Okay, thank you. Okay, you guys have a good evening.
You too.
Okay, Superintendent Perez, academic update with attendance.
Yes, sir, Mr. President, Board. So next presentation is our academic report, and we have a couple of items under that, update on professional development and some updates on our attendance efforts. So with that, I'll turn it over to Ms. Sanchez.
Good evening, Mr. President, Mr. Pettis, members of the board. Tonight, we wanted to bring to you an update from the academic department. We'll review our status with initiatives and some plans that we have to continue moving forward. This is a roadmap of where our standards-based instruction started and the progress that we've made. And so in the beginning, we wanted to hire instructional coaches at all sites, and we have done that. Develop a district learning plan and a protocol for examining student work, and that's also been done. Provide professional development on the district learning plan and the examining student work, which has also been accomplished. Implement examining student work in all PLCs district-wide, which has also been accomplished, and assess students quarterly on the standards in the district learning plan, and review the data and intervene as necessary. Our window closes on Friday for our first district quarterly assessment for this school year, and then continuously support teachers with the interventions and standards-based instruction planning. And so all of this is in implementation status as we speak. This is our instructional coaching team, and as of the week before last, we're completely staffed with our instructional coaches at every site. And so this team is absolutely amazing. They carry out our district initiatives on a daily basis. They support teachers every day. They lead their PLC meetings twice weekly, and they continue to guide and grow our teachers. The district learning plan implementation began in April of this year. And so we had all of the instructional coaches go through intense professional development so that they could roll out that professional development starting in the summer. And so they started that. They continuously support our teachers. And then through the professional development sessions that we've had, they continuously support them with planning as well. Examining student work happens in professional learning community meetings, which are twice a week. Teachers, instructional coaches, and principals and assistant principals participate in that. And I wanted to share a quote that I received a couple of weeks ago from a third grade teacher in the district. She said, "I've been meaning to reach out to let you know that I'm really learning a lot from the PLCs at our site. It's great to see when I'm teaching to the standards and also when I can vet my resources better." So vetting resources has been a big part, but it's exciting to hear those positive feedback statements from teachers. So our professional development days have taken on a new structure. We've moved from each campus having its own plan on these days to having district-wide plans. Monday, October 25th will be the third professional development day that we've structured this way. We've hired consultants for some of our sessions, such as SCL, and for students and staff, for next generation science standards, and for Alice active shooter trainings. We've also utilized the expertise of our instructional coaches, coordinators, and principals for some of our other sessions. These sessions allow for our grade level teachers across the district to meet together to strategize and share successes and ideas. And it also allows our CTE teachers to meet across campuses, such as our Laguna Acoma junior, senior high teachers meeting with Los Alamitos and Grand High School teachers. All of our music teachers have been able to get together on these days so that they can plan out their district-wide musicals and things of that nature. PE and art teachers have also been able to meet to align instruction and plan for upcoming events. We have and will continue to offer sessions in areas that are requested by teachers and also in response to the data that we have from our Illuminate tests and our exam student work. Structured literacy is an initiative from the state, but it's also something that we've been working on in the district. We've created and implemented a structured literacy plan. We've developed professional development for early literacy practices, including the letters training. We have a positive promotion of literacy throughout our schools, and we've aligned intervention efforts for literacy throughout grade levels with our equity materials. So also part of our academics team is Ticia Martinez, our equity success coordinator, and Patty Black, our district teacher mentor, along with Trish Garcia, which is our district outreach specialist. And Trish is going to share with you in just a minute, but I wanted to make mention of some of the work that Ticia and Patty have been doing. And so we'll make sure to go through that in more detail in the upcoming academics update. Tasia has been conducting a CLRE and an SEL needs assessment and has already met with the district counselors. She's working on the CLRE and the SEL framework and has accomplished a lot in her short time with the district. Patty's been an amazing support to our new teachers, and they've had several district meetings, and she also supports them one-on-one. Just last week, Patty was able to meet with every single one of our new teachers, and I think it's a little over 30 new teachers. So she was able to meet one-on-one with each of them, and then she was also able to work with our new instructional coach to get her started on the examining student work protocols throughout the PLCs. As you can see, our team's been working really hard this year to look at district goals and critical actions and reaching the measures that are set forth in order to move our district forward. So our first quarter district assessment window closes on this Friday, and we're anxious to see all of the data. The preliminary data looks very promising for our alignment efforts. And so now I'm going to let Trish share the progress that has been made and continues to be made with attendance and outreach.
Good evening. First of all, I want to thank all my EWS team and all the attendance liaisons at all the sites. They are working tirelessly to implement the new attendance laws and to reward our students. Currently, we have 3,230 students enrolled at GCCS. Our outreach and attendance efforts as of today are attendance plans have been submitted to the state. Attendance liaison and EWS teams are at all of our sites. We have implemented a district-wide attendance campaign. We have tiered all our students into attendance levels. District alignment of all our correspondence, our letters, everything that we use. We have bi-weekly training on our attendance procedures, and we have implemented incentives and rewards for our students with good and improved attendance. Every school has created an attendance plan for the Mexico PED. Here's an overview of just some of the goals they have set. To improve chronic absenteeism by 5% at each site, building relationships with families, district-wide alignment of all of our correspondence and procedures, community campaigns for attendance awareness, flyers, banners, social media, posters, school-wide prevention, phone calls home when absent, develop and train EWS attendance teams at all of our sites, and recognize students for their attendance. In the spring, we will update our plans and report the strategies that are working and reevaluate what is not working. Our goal is to engage students and families. Here's an example of some of the ways that we are trying to engage our students, families, and hoping to build those relationships. Open house, student orientation, attendance campaigns, parent-teacher conferences. The new support personnel that we are using to engage these families are our EWS teams, outreach specialists, student success advisors, school counselors, coaches, mentors, equity coordinator, Title VI liaison, as well as our teachers, administration, and our support staff. Our EWS staff is monitoring their attendance data, reporting and graphing their data, and mailing out correspondence and meeting with families daily. We implemented an attendance campaign with flyers to give to every family before school began to inform our parents, guardians about the new attendance laws and how they are being implemented. Attendance awareness banners are posted at each site so students and parents can visually see the tier system and where their student falls under each tier. Each school created a 4-foot by 6-foot banner to display attendance. And the students enjoy seeing their class standings to secretly compete against the other classes. You can look at Lagoon Acton has put their 9th grade was at 89% one day, their 10th grade was at 89, 11th grade was at 91, 12th grade was at 89%. And each school can create their own, they created their own banner, but they put in their data on a daily basis or weekly basis. So the kids know every day where they stand and who is winning for the week. The next slide is just a few more banners that are hanging at the schools. Our posters are hung up at each site to motivate our students. Each school has age-appropriate posters, and they each were allowed to personalize banners for their, or posters for their site. And we have those printed up locally here in Grants. Here are a few of the recognitions our sites are doing. Mystery Days. All students that are present on any particular day receive a small surprise with a note letting the student know that we are happy they are here. We've had quite a few of our schools that have done that for every single student that was present that day. On Friday, Milan served 260 Sundays for students that were absent 2 days or less in the first quarter. One of the students told me that that was the best day of her life. Another girl said, after my chaotic math test, I really needed this. Each site has received a treasure chest full of hundreds of prizes. Here are a few of the prizes. Fidget toys, stickers, Rubik's cubes, wristbands, squishy balls, spinners, pens, pencils, earbuds, and so much more. I got a call from GHS, and they wanted to express how excited the high schoolers were with the fidget spinners. And trust me when I say I was apprehensive about taking a treasure chest to Grants High School. As you can see, our sites have been rewarding hundreds of students for good attendance. Grants High School rewarded 110 students, and they got to pick from the treasure chest. Mesa View gave 170 students nachos for perfect attendance for October. Cubero and Sahueta gave every student that was present on a Friday a popsicle. But I want you to know we're also recognizing students not for perfect attendance, but students that have improved their attendance. If they were able to move from a tier 4 to a tier 3, we are recognizing that. We had a little girl in San Rafael who was never at school. She finally came, so they gave her a reward. She came the next 3 days and they gave her another reward. She came for another week, and then she was asked to pick from the treasure chest. And she asked if we had an alarm clock in that treasure chest so she could get to school every day. So needless to say, we found an alarm clock. We do have barriers to our attendance. Here are some of those barriers. Students that are quarantined due to positive COVID tests. Students that are quarantined because of exposure. Mandates from the state to stay at home when there are symptoms. Just the fear of COVID. And then a misunderstanding of absence is equal to lost instruction time. And in closing, every day a student is absent is a lost opportunity for learning. Too many absences not only can affect achievement for the absent student, but also can disrupt learning for the entire class. And with that, I thank you all for your time.
Thank you, Mr. President.
That's it.
I don't know if you have any questions or.
Okay, any comments, questions from the board for Trish or Miss went blank, Raina, went blank. Thank you, Raina.
Mr. President, I'd like to address the presentation. I think that is absolutely excellent. I think that's being positive and approaching things in a very positive manner. I don't think even in what you might call real school do the kids get this type of acknowledgement. And my suggestion would be to continue this even as long as it's possible to continue, because our students need that reassurance, they need that reinforcement. And I thank you for taking the opportunity and taking the time. I know it sounds like busy work to do all this, but when it has such a positive outpour from the students, I can only just congratulate you and pat yourself on the back that this is a good, positive way to enforce the students' learning. So thank you very much for having that positive attitude. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, I'd also want to say thank you for all the hard work that we do. And I'd put our district on to bring anybody else on against our district. So you guys do a very good job. So, thank you.
And I'd just like to say, Mr. President, board, and everybody on here, you know, despite all our challenges and efforts and challenges around us as we move forward, I have to let everybody know that our academic department and all those efforts therein remain moving forward and steadfast, just as we do with our facilities, as we do with technology, as we do with all of the different efforts that we have. Despite the challenges, we are determined to move forward for the focus of student learning and the success of our students. So thank you.
Any other comments from the board? Okay, thank you again. Action items tonight. Action item A, consideration of approval to purchase health and well-being online counseling. Your recommendation, Mr. Perez?
Yes, sir, Mr. President, board. I do recommend that we approve this purchase of the health and well-being program.
Okay, I need a motion.
So moved, Dion Sandoval.
Need a second?
Emily Hunt Daily, second.
Okay, discussion.
Second.
Discussion, Superintendent.
Yes, sir, Mr. President, board. So Mr. Maldonado, I think has prepared to do a brief on this.
Yes, thank you very much, Mr. President, Mr. Superintendent, board members. Dr. Martin, can you allow me to share the screen, please? Thank you. So this is a request to implement what's called an additional temporary benefit program for employees. As part of our proposal that through our ARP and Carissa funds to really begin to address the health and well-being issues and the emotional issues for staff, we developed a suite of new benefits that we want to be able to offer and employees. One of them includes this Calm app. It's an application that allows users to access a variety of relaxation techniques for staff and also to use in the classroom. We've already implemented that. So far, it's met with good success. The second one we want to implement is the Talkspace, which is a one-on-one counseling and therapy service for employees. They can access a licensed professional via telephone, Zoom, and also through a variety of online choices there. This is one that we also have already started the ball rolling in order to provide an outlet, someone to talk to, someone to help cope, provide some coping skills. It's been a very successful program. The third one is the Health and Wellbeing Reimbursement Program. This is something that we want to put in place as a district, again, as an additional benefit for employees. It's paid by the district to assist with a variety of healthcare expenses, to encourage employees to participate in healthy and uplifting activities, again, with the goal of providing an outlet, a healthy way to release some tension, but also giving them some relief, both financially and giving them tools and the wherewithal to be able to take on some activities that are healthier, that allow them to become a healthier, more engaged, more focused individual. They include everything from the monthly gym membership, the medical co-pays, medical bills not covered by insurance. We patterned this after the HSA cards, which are pre-tax cards that allow people to use like a Visa card to buy certain things like this. We expanded on that. I met with Ms. Salazar to walk through some of a variety of accessible, reimbursable programs and expenses. So we want to be able to offer up to $600 per year per employee per calendar year. It is a taxable benefit, meaning that once they submit a reimbursement for, say, a gym membership, or they had to pay a copay for surgery or some office visit or something, they could do so and we would reimburse them that, and they would be taxed on that as a taxable benefit. So we're asking the board to approve the allocation of up to $340,000 for the school year, the calendar year, starting in January, going through December of next year, to fund this temporary health and well-being reimbursement program being paid for by the Carissa and the ARP funds to fund those programs. We want to keep this alive and available as long as possible. With that, I'll answer any questions you might have.
Any questions, comments from the board? Okay, with that, we'll do roll call.
Guy Archibald, Emily Hunt Day,
Yes. Yes.
Richard Jones,
Yes.
Aye.
John Sandoval,
Aye.
Ron Ortiz.
Aye. Action item 7B, consideration of approval, a permanent bank transfer. Superintendent Perez, your recommendation?
Yes, sir, Mr. President, Board, I do recommend that we approve this permanent bank transfer of the due to, due from accounts for reconciliation of prior year's budget accounts.
Okay, I need a motion.
Emily Hunt Daly, so moved.
Okay, need a second.
I'll second it.
Okay, discussion.
Mr. Maldonado.
Yes, thank you very much, Mr. President, members of the board, Mr. Superintendent. You may recall that in our 1920 audit, we identified several old debt accounts that we had with the PED that were not reconciled with our bank accounts. And so what happened at the end of that particular audit, we had more money in our bank account than what our general ledger said, which was a good place to be. But we had more money, and so, but we were unable to reconcile that. So we took a step further and looked at all the accounts for which we had open accounts at the PED, and found that we had some accounts, federal fund accounts, for example, that we had that we overspent and some that we underspent. So in order for us to reconcile that, we have to do what's called a permanent cash transfer. On the June 29th, you approved us being able to transfer from our 11,000, our GO account, back to the PED, the amount that was overspent, that we quote owed to them. This wasn't actually a money transfer. It was all on paper in order to reconcile the account and close those funds. So we were able to do that, and that left the funds going from the federal accounts that were underspent, that owed back to the district, in order to reconcile those accounts. And that amount comes to $243,185. Again, not a cash, actual money changing hand, no check is written. It's a paper transfer. Once we do this, then moving forward, all of our cash balances from when we compare our bank balances in our general ledger to what's in OBMS will be 100% reconcilable. This is the only thing, only remainder that is keeping us from balancing those accounts and moving forward. This will also eliminate in a future next year's audit, it will eliminate a repeat audit finding. So we're asking the board to allow us to ask the PED to make this permanent cash transfer. It's sort of a 2 or 3 step process. We first have to obtain permission from the board in order to request it. Then we send a request to the PED outlining everything that was done or that we're requesting, and then we wait for their response. And they may or may not approve it because it's taking money from these debt or cash balances that are on the books from these debt accounts, putting it back in our 11,000. I can't imagine why they wouldn't approve it, and in the sense that they also need to reconcile their fund balances, but this is exactly what we're doing and what we're requesting, very similar to what you did back in June 30th. I'm ready to answer questions.
Mr. Maldonado, I'd just like to make a couple of key points. One is that the issue of the accounts not being reconciled is going back several years. And this is a continuation of Mr. Maldonado's efforts to clean up, so to speak, clean up over those past several years so that we have a good, clean balance. Thank you.
Yes, correct. Some of these funds are 11 years old.
Any questions or comments from the board for Mr. Maldonado? Okay, with that, I'll do roll call.
Guy Archibald, Emily Hunt Daly,
Yes, yes,
Richard Jones.
Aye.
Dion Sandoval,
Aye.
Ron Ortiz.
Yes. Motion carries. Action item 7C, consideration of approval ANM DOT time extension and resolution. Your recommendation, Mr. Perez?
Yes, sir, Mr. President, Board, I recommend that we approve this extension through the New Mexico Department of Transportation and the resolution.
Okay, I need a motion.
Emily Hunt Daly, so moved.
Second, Dion Sandoval.
Okay, discussion.
Mr. Lee?
Yeah, good evening. Good evening, Mr. President, members of the board. Mr. Perez, we come to you asking for approval of an amendment to the agreement and resolution from last year. It's for our work with the city on the Washington Avenue drainage and street. It's a joint effort where it is the flow through money from the local government road fund. The only term that changes is moving the ending date from December 31st, 2021 to December 31st, 2022. Nothing else changes within the agreement itself.
Thank you, Mr. Lee. Any comments or questions from the board for Mr. Lee? If not, roll call.
Guy Archibald, Emily Hunt Daly,
Yes, yes,
Richard Jones,
Aye.
Dion Sandoval,
Aye.
Ron Ortiz.
Yes. Motion carries. Action item 7D, consideration of approval for resolution to support the state's year of literacy efforts.
Yes, sir, Mr. President, Board, I do recommend that we approve this resolution to support the state's year of literacy efforts as presented.
Okay, need a motion?
Dion Sandoval, aye. So move.
Need a second?
Emily Hunt Daly, second.
Okay, thank you. Discussion?
Yes, sir, Mr. President. So I would like to take a moment to read this resolution to everyone. Now, this is a resolution that's in support of the new Secretary of Ed in his effort to bring forth literacy as a primary focus in our state. Once again, I'd like to just share my personal perspective of this is that it's refreshing to know that we are focusing on, once again, student learning and reading and academics. And as you know, Dr. Kurt Steinhaus is the new Secretary of Ed. And this is one of the missions that he's pushed forth. And we're not the only district. I think there's many districts throughout the state that also would like to push forward in supporting the literacy efforts across the state. So I'll take a moment to read this to everyone. Whereas in August of 2021, Dr. Kurt Steinhaus was appointed Secretary Designate of the New Mexico Public Education Department, and whereas the Secretary Designate has extended an invitation to schools and districts across New Mexico to join in making the 2021-2022 school year the year of literacy, and whereas reading and writing are essential foundational skills in every child's educational journey and pathway to success, and Whereas the Public Education Department has invested in the professional development of educators and high-quality instructional materials to teach reading in classrooms across the state. And whereas every child should have access to grade level content and reading materials that are culturally and linguistically responsive and sustaining. And whereas increasing literacy proficiency is of the utmost priority of Grant-Cebolla County schools. And whereas Grant-Cebolla County Schools believes it is imperative to instill in our children a lifelong love of learning and reading. Now, therefore, let it be resolved that the board, by unanimous approval by its members, hereto declares this the year of literacy in the Grant-Cebolla County School District.
Thank you, Superintendent Perez. With that, I'll do roll call.
Guy Archibald, Emily Hunt Daly,
Yes,
Richard Jones,
yes,
Aye.
Dion Sandoval,
Yes.
Ron Ortiz.
Aye. Motion carries. Consent agenda tonight, Superintendent Perez, your recommendation.
Yes, sir, Mr. President, Board, I recommend that we approve the items in the consent agenda.
Okay, need a motion?
Emily Hunt Daly, so moved.
Hang on, is Mr. Maldonado,
Second.
excuse me, Mr. Maldonado, do we have items in that consent agenda this evening?
Not this meeting.
Okay,
So
so there'd
it's empty.
be no vote on that. So-
No vote, okay. Sorry about
Sorry
that.
about
I should have caught that. Thank you, Superintendent Perez. Superintendent's report.
Mr. President, Board, I think people are curious nowadays about how attendance is going in all districts, and ours is no different. So I have Ms. Hernandez here. I'm sorry, Ms. Salazar, Lisa, if you would go ahead and give us an update on our current staffing in the district.
Yes, thank you so much. Good evening, Mr. President, Mr. Pettis, and members of the board. Dr. Martin, if you'll allow me to share my screen, please.
You may go ahead, ma'am.
So board members and Mr. President, Mr. Pettis, I submitted our openings per campus to you in your board packet. And if you'll notice, it is identified with each school and which positions are open at this time. And so if you'll look at Grants High School, we still have our ROTC position open because we do have 2 positions that were fulfilled, and then we had a retraction of a resignation. So we still have that ROTC position open. So we have 1 certified position open at Grants and 3 classified, and then so on with Laguna. We have 3 certified openings at Laguna Acoma and 4 classified. And then if you'll go down further with Cubero, we have 3 classified and 3 certified as well. Mesa View, it did say fully staffed, but we have a custodian opening. One of our custodians has transitioned to our security officer at Los Alamitos. And so that's why we no longer, we have 1 position open there. Milan, we also are going to have 1 position open, and in Mount Taylor. And so if you'll look, it has by campus, and then our total would be 10 certified and 36 classified. On my next screen, I wanted to give you a historical vacancy so that you could see the progress of our vacancies. We're not where we want to be. Our goal is always to be 100% fully staffed. But if you'll notice in June on June 14th on 2021, we had 35 certified openings and 32 classified. And then the following month in July, we had 22 certified openings and 29 classified openings. In August, those certified positions decreased to 19 openings and 28. And then in September, which was last month, we had 13 certified openings and 35 classified openings. And you did see a little bit of an increase from 34 to 35, 34 and 36. Of course, our current month, we have 10 certified openings and 36 classified. And the reason that you do see a slight increase is because we've had some staffing requests. We identified some needs at our campuses, or we also identified some services that were needed. And so we had to increase those staff members. So we have not lost any classified, we just increased staffing. Of course, we're still continuing our efforts with advertisement. We're still advertising for that second ROTC instructor position. We are also still advertising as far as our sign-on incentives and our hard-to-fill positions. And so we're continuing to go and advertise through our social media avenues. And I did attend our first recruitment job fair last month. And it was a success. We had one last week, but it was canceled and it's rescheduled. And so we're still continuing our efforts with our recruitment efforts. And of course, like I said, we still have our incentives offered. We have certified teacher stipends available for our sign-on. We still have our sign-ons for our journeyman electricians, mechanics, and plumbers at $4,500. Our classified staff, we're also offering classified sign-on bonuses of $3,000. And then we have our hard-to-fill position, certified math, science, special ed teachers and counselors. They will be getting an additional $5,000. We still have our rural stipends that we're offering so that those campuses that are in our outskirts, we are giving those as incentives also to fully staff them. And as Mr. Maldonado touched in his presentation previously, we are adding some benefits to our employees. We're adding the COM app, our talk space, and then the voucher reimbursement. And at this time, I would be more than happy to answer any questions that you may have for me.
Any questions, comments from the board? Okay, with that, thank you.
Mr. President, I have
Yes,
just a
go
comment to Ms. Lisa. Maybe she can share some information. I don't think it's just our district that is experiencing these vacancies. Statewide, what are we looking at? Do you have that those statistics?
I don't have the data, Ms. Hunt Daly. I can get that from you, but I do know that we are in the surrounding areas. We're doing a lot better as far as our numbers with certified staff. I believe Gallup had about 75, if I'm correct, as far as certified. But I can gather that information for you and present that at a later time as far as statewide statistics. Absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Salazar. Announcements. They're there for you to look at. I need a motion to adjourn tonight.
Are we not going to go back and get the,
I'm sorry, can you say that again?
don't we need to go back and vote on the consent agenda?
No, there was no consent agenda. I missed it.
Okay, I got you. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Jones. Announcements, like I said, they're there for you to look at. I need a motion to adjourn.
Emily Hunt Daly, so moved. So moved, Emily Hunt Daly.
I'll second it.
Okay, thank you. Roll call.
By Archambault, Emily Hunt Daly,
Yes.
Richard Jones,
Yes.
Aye.
Leon Sandoval,
Aye.
Ron Ortiz.
Yes. Motion carries. Meeting adjourned at 6:42. Good night, everybody. Thank you. Have a good evening.